We have the lowest unemployment in history, and there's an extraordinary demand for new capacity of work by humans to do stuff in the United States right now because of the extraordinary manufacturing build out that is underway, driven largely by AI and soon to be robotics and several other industries. We just talked about rare earths mining and processing. There are many industries that are taking off in this country that have not existed. And there is a demand for labor. And when there's a demand for labor and there's a shortage of people to do the work, the employer typically says, let's go recruit, let's go spend, let's go train. And when you have an innovation cycle like is underway right now, the hiring for the new jobs happens before the loss of the old jobs happens. So you have to have someone that builds all the Model Ts before people stop becoming horse buggy drivers. So who's going to do all the Model T building? They're going to get paid. They're going to get offered money to go do those jobs. So what typically happens in these cycles is that there's a recruitment exercise, a recruiting cycle that happens up front. And so rather than say all these drivers are going to lose their jobs, another way to frame it is that all of these drivers are going to be offered new, higher paying jobs before there's lower demand for driving. And they're going to say, I can go make twice as much money per hour by going over to take this new job. And then they're going to say, I'd rather do that than drive. I'm getting paid twice as much and I get to work on more interesting stuff. I like that. That's how this is likely going to go. That is the more positive view on how what you're calling job displacement actually plays out in the US economy in the decade ahead. A recruiting cycle precedes the elimination of old jobs that aren't needed anymore. That recruiting cycle is a net positive for people. They say, wow, that is an amazing improvement in my income, an improvement in my lifestyle. I get to work on more interesting things. My life is better because of it. And then years later, the demand for those old jobs starts to die down. But at that point, everyone's been recruited away anyway.
So Freeberg, you mentioned the Model T putting all the horse and buggies out of business. And if we had today's media environment around back in the days of Henry Ford, that's exactly what they would have been bemoaning, is that all the horse and buggy guys are going to be put out of business.